Few athletes have ever electrified JMU fans the way Rodney Landers did. A dual-threat quarterback from Tallwood High School in Virginia Beach, most college programs projected him as a defensive back, but not JMU.
Listen, Rodney can throw the football, and that was everybody's concern. You know, he's not a 6'4" drop back guy, but he had plenty of strong arm and was such a competitor that the will to win got him through everything.
Landers arrived at JMU and was the only traveling redshirt freshman on a team that forever altered the trajectory of JMU football, the 2004 national champions. Landers showed flashes of brilliance playing behind veteran Justin Riscotti the next 2 seasons, and his teammates knew Landers would be ready when his time came.
That this kid just wants to be great, and he wants to do what he needs to do to be great.
It's the right level of moxie, it's the right level of charisma, but it's also the right level of humility and selflessness that sort of makes him who he is, especially on the field.
And when 2007 arrived, Landers was a perfect fit for a brand new offensive scheme, the zone read.
And Rodney very evidently had that. You know what I mean? It was like, no, I'm naturally going to, all right, first read, second read, nope, all right. I can feel the pocket, let me get out of here, let me get us 10-14, and sometimes that 10-14 turns into 40 or 50, and it's a touchdown. But that's just the ability of Rodney Landers.
After reaching number 6 in the national polls, Landers and the Dukes suffered back-to-back conference losses to Richmond and Delaware by a total of 4 points. That relegated JMU to a playoff road trip to top-ranked Appalachian State. The Dukes physically dominated the day, and Landers accounted for 253 offensive yards on his own and had the Dukes setting up for the win in the closing seconds.
Going to line up a field goal and in great range. I mean, Dave Standard was as solid of a kicker as they came. And
I'll never forget, that fumble at the end of the game. We kind of definitely thought that 2007 was our year as well. We felt like we were better than App State that year.
The loss stung even more as App State rolled to the national title that December, and it motivated the 2008 Dukes, most of all, Landers.
You can tell that Rodney responded to that.
Rodney was such an example leader where you didn't have to question whether or not he was working hard because you could see it. He was at the front of the group in sprints. He was training hard in the weight room. As in game, you didn't have to question how hard Rodney was playing.
After a 52-38 win over number 3 UMass, in which Landers ran for 206 yards and 2 scores while throwing for another, the Dukes were at number 5 in the polls and set to host none other than defending champ and top-ranked Appalachian State. A packed house at Bridgeport Stadium was stunned to see their Dukes down 21-0 at halftime. But there was no panic in the JMU locker room.
But when we were all in the locker room, there was no heads down, there was no finger pointing.
As we could work together, we were going to be able to overcome it. And obviously, to come out the way that we did to start the second half with Scotty taking the kickoff back and then a 3-and-out from the defense, and then Rodney scoring on the very first play on offense.
In just 2:17, the Dukes had drawn within a single score, and Landers was far from done. A late third-quarter pass drew JMU within 3, and his 1-yard run with 2:31 to play gave the Dukes an insurmountable lead. The win boosted JMU to the top of the national polls. But the schedule ahead was a gauntlet. In mid-October at Richmond, the Dukes trailed 31-23 with 3:21 to play.
But just the drive that we went on when we were down 8, Rodney again had a giant run down the left side.
Rodney had the ball, and he stiff-armed one of Richmond's kids all the way into the ground to run for a first down.
Moments later, the Dukes scored, and Landers had his team ready to tie the game.
And then obviously that 2-point play, it was a sprint-out play where you think about all the different things that quarterbacks have to manage. There was a shift, there was a motion, and right along the front pylon where it was only where Griff could have caught it. Just such a perfect ball. Rodney to be able to create the kind of time to stretch it out that far.
The drive that Landers had engineered made possible one of the great moments in JMU football history.
9 seconds left. He's got to get out of bounds to let his team get the field goal. Instead, he runs it back for a touchdown. And Richmond will have to live with that decision.
The following week, in a driving rainstorm in Philadelphia, the Dukes again found themselves down in the final moments to Villanova.
I think, again, we talk about Rodney, and when you were out there and competing with him, it was like, we're going to win, right? That's the kind of confidence you played with when you were with him. Yeah, I just remember watching the ball kind of sail, and the nose tackle that I was blocking at the time, defensive line kind of tells you when the ball is thrown because they stop rushing and they look. And just seeing the ball end up in Bosco's arms, just so excited and just losing my mind, kind of sprinting to the end zone.
The Dukes went undefeated in the CAA and entered the playoffs as the #1 seed with a 10-1 record. After a first-round bye, Landers threw 3 touchdown passes and ran for another score in a win over Wofford. In a rematch with Villanova in the quarterfinals, Landers threw for 3 more scores and ran in the game winner in the final minutes. The victory propelled the Dukes into the first ever national semifinal game to be played at Bridgeforth Stadium. But Landers' teammates knew what most fans didn't. Rodney had been hurt in that quarterfinal win.
We knew it. We knew it throughout the week. He was pretty limited.
Landers had made a career of putting his body on the line for his team, but after a first-half tackle by a physical Montana defense, Landers was unable to continue. The Bridgeforth Stadium crowd was stunned as Landers took on a new role, coaching his replacement Drew Dudzik from the sideline.
Rodney really became that second level for Drew of, hey, you're good. And I think it really helped to instill confidence in him, and it's why we were able to compete down to the very last moment into that game.
The loss put a bittersweet ending to Landers' career, but his legacy had been established. He had led JMU back onto the national scene, validating the 2004 championship. Landers was runner-up for the 2008 Walter Payton Award as the top player in the nation after passing for 1,534 yards and 21 touchdowns while running for a school record 1,770 yards and 16 scores. He was second-team All-American, CAA Offensive Player of the Year, and received the Dudley Award as the top Division I player in Virginia. Landers' career totals still rank him 3rd in career rushing, 4th in career rushing touchdowns, and 6th in both all-purpose yards and total offense.
To me, he's one of the key foundational student athletes in the history of this program. Athletic programs are built on strong foundations. They're built on a continuance of culture. Young men like that help you not only build it, but they help you maintain it. And that's huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the newest member of the James Madison University Athletics Hall of Fame, Rodney Landers.